I'm Steve Johnson, News Director of theDove TV. Watch more videos from the Dove Newsroom at thedove.us.
Welcome back. We're on the special edition of Focus Today as a result of the Supreme Court just announcing a couple of hours ago that it is now favoring same-sex marriages throughout the United States at a vote of 5-4.
Your day.
And needless to say, this has really shaken things up. Probably the biggest decision that the Supreme Court has made in our lifetime that will change a lot in the way this country now will go forward. I'm delighted to have with us today Jerry McGlothlin. He is the president of CleanTV. We've had him on before. And thank you, Jerry, for making yourself available on such short notice. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you again.
Well, under other circumstances, I'd say it's good to be here, too. I'm very disappointed by the predictable decision.
Well, tell us your thoughts and how it may impact what you do.
First of all, I uploaded a video on this. I'm already getting a bunch of thumbs downs on it. I think I was the first one to upload a video stating it was a fact that the Supreme Court so-called legalized gay marriage. I uploaded this actually about a day and a half ago, and as a statement of protest, because I think it's ridiculous. I mean, as bad as the things have been for our country, this is just the death nail. I just say we're finished as a nation. We just haven't fallen over yet. We're morally up to the gills in bad decisions, bad everything. We went from the most financially successful country in world history to the most bankrupt country in world history. I mean, there's no getting out of this debt unless there's a moral ascension, and I see nothing at all that shows any hint at a moral revival within our government. So the video I put up at CleanTV, both at clean.tv, that's our webpage, just www.clean.tv, and also on our CleanTV.com YouTube channel, says Supreme Court same-sex decision triggers judicial impeachment movement. And my friend Greg Jackson is leading this. And he is basically saying, no problem, just impeach the justices who voted this, because the Supreme Court is not the highest law of the land. It's basically God-given law. Whatever is not supporting something that's God ordained basically can be reversed in the form of impeachment proceedings followed by convictions.
All right. Wow. Well, let me just, on that point, do you think with as fast as we've accelerated in this cultural decline, could the response of an impeachment of a Supreme Court justice rise to an actuality in our culture?
Well, it has before. In 1805, Supreme Court, well, technically Associate Justice Samuel Chase was impeached. I mean, he brought up an impeachment proceedings. Last minute, he didn't convict him, but I mean, it happened. And as we know, Andrew Johnson was brought up on presidential impeachment proceedings, and of course, Monica Lewinsky was impeached. That Bill Clinton who was impeached.
Oh,
right? You wonder who was the president in times like this, when he obviously wasn't concerned about his finger on the nuclear button. I guess it depends on your definition of nuclear. But I just really kind of shifting into a whole different paradigm. I used to be just constantly fighting all these, my wife and I call them whack-a-moles. You go to a carnival, and then you got this little mole that pops up. You got a hammer, you go bam, and then another one pops up. Bam, 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 bam. We're just playing whack-a-mole. As long as there's no moral revival in our country, we're playing whack-a-mole. And this is another mole. This is a big one, the biggest one in our lifetime. This essentially says, dear God, we want nothing to do with you, and we dare you to judge us. We don't think your judgments are still for today. We think they ended in Sodom and Gomorrah, and we're giving you the single-finger salute. That's essentially what we're saying as a nation.
Couple things. Do you fear now, you and I are in the same industry, do you fear the future of communication and what we will be able to say over what would be considered free speech over the microphone?
They could take me down right now on YouTube. They have before, and I've gotten back up again. They take the whole channel down. Now, I've got monetization of 800 videos in YouTube. It's a business. I got 9 children. I feed my family. You know, YouTube is a very important part of my economic income. But I still put stuff that supports traditional marriage, and I know that it's very likely that the page will be taken down for this very video that's up there right now. I mean, it's my lead story at clean.tv. I know whenever I say clean.tv, people say, where's the com? No, there is no com. It's just clean.tv. If you look at it, it's a big, giant, full-screen video. You click on it. And I made this several days ago, and I uploaded it about a day and a half ago. Now, people would say, that's irresponsible. How dare you put up something before it's news? How can you state that it's going to happen? Easy. You look at the presuppositions of our leaders in America. You look at the spiritual battle that's happening. You look how close we are to the, the Armageddon battle and the millennial reign and so forth. You do the math. It's pretty much in a downward slide. And I'm normally an optimist, but I'm not this time. I mean, this is about as bad as it gets. You just cannot pick bigger sins than legalizing murder with the most innocent of innocents, preborn children, and now the second barrel of this immoral shotgun we're blowing off at the heavens is trying to call it same-sex marriage, trying to call it legal. It's just a mockery. The Supreme Court has made a mockery of God, a mockery of everything we stand for in this former republic. There's nothing left of our republic. There's nothing that even shows we are a republic anymore. Name one thing that shows we're a republic. I don't see it.
We in a constitutional crisis?
We were in a constitutional crisis for the last 2 decades or so, but now it's beyond a constitutional crisis. We're in the death throes of the constitutional crisis. It's now over. No crisis, no problem. We're dead as a nation. We're done.
So how did our traditional values, our traditional Christian, Judeo-Christian values become outdated?
That's an interesting question. How did our values get outdated? First of all, they're God's values, and they're suggestions. It's like our owner's manual. He shows us the right way to be and gives us the choice whether we follow it or not. It goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden. We had a pro-choice tree and we had a pro-life tree. The pro-choice tree, like we call it abortion today, pro-choice, is choosing death. I present to you today blessings and curses, life or death. Choose whether you live, essentially, is what the Torah said. So when Adam and Eve chose, and they both chose it, the pro-choice tree, that opened our eyes to where we normally would just automatically just do what's right because wrong decisions didn't exist. I mean, even being naked was no big deal because there's no game or there's no shame or guilt associated with it. They were essentially like married, But as soon as our eyes were open, they wanted to cover themselves with fur, animal hides or whatever. It's the same today. As long as we keep picking pro-choice, choosing what the devil said, you could be like God. Don't follow what God says. He doesn't want you to be like him. You could be your own God. As soon as we follow choices like that, be your own God, it's over. And that's happened since the very beginning. So you're asking, when does it happen? It happened in the very beginning. There was a timeless period. We don't know whether it was billions or trillions of years or just a dozen years in the Garden of Eden. There's no record of how long the time was. I say that time didn't exist there. Time existed once we had the expulsion from the garden, and we have been fighting between good and evil ever since. So we've been choosing life or choosing death ever since. But in our lifetime, the two decisions clearly are the abortion decision, the homosexual decision, that is just like giving God no reason under the sun to bless us. About the only thing left that he could bless us for that I could see is doing anything that's pro-Israel, because Israel is still the apple of God's eye. Yes, they're backsliding people, all sorts of things. You say all sorts of bad stuff, but they are still God's people. And this is the era now, from this day of this decision, where it's pretty much writing off the United States. You wonder why we're not front and center in Bible prophecy, hello, to now it's going to be pro-Israel all the way. The evangelical movement is going to go take a back seat to the kind of this Hebrew roots of your Christian faith movement, where it's all going to be about getting the Jews in the final net, so to speak, from heaven. And then after that, we have the tribulation and then the 1,000-year millennial reign of Christ that I put at about 2033. To begin. And I know they say you're not supposed to set dates, but You know,
what are you going to do at CleanTV, Clean.tv? Are you going to respond to this with a video?
And the video was made made a few days ago and posted a day and a half ago. I already responded a day and a half ago to what I predicted what would happen, and it did happen.
That one. What do you think a pastor ought to say to their congregation on Sunday?
I just say goodbye. We're toast. We're done. Stick a fork in us. I would. Because the problem is the congregations of the churches these days want to be coddled. They want to be tickled. They want their ears. Tickle me, tickle me, tickle me silly. They basically want an easier, softer way. It might be better for them to go to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting and learn about how you don't want a softer way, an easier, softer way. You go to an average Alcoholics Anonymous retreat, you'll see humility at their altar. They go to the front and they confess their sins, and it's real humility. They might acknowledge the chair as our higher power, which is a mockery of God, but still, it's not as much what we do in our normal suburban communities. We go to our church thing, get our ears tickled. I mean, we are really, really so far away from what we're supposed to be. It's almost not worth discussing anymore. And it's going to get worse as the tribulation gets closer, as we enter the beginning of sorrows. People will fall into line, and the pastors will lead them right to hell. They're going to basically go along with it. They say, well, it's the law. No, Hebrews 13. That's baloney. That's a misinterpretation. We are not to follow unjust laws, period, end and final.
Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate your passion. And again, Clean.tv. There's no com. It's Clean.tv. Go there and check out his videos and things. Thanks, my friend. Keep up the good work. We'll stay in touch, okay?
Bye.
All right, we'll be right back.